Welcome back to the Gym of All Trades channel. We're glad you're here today. It is Saturday, April 27th, 2019. Today, we want to discuss Bitcoin and Litecoin. We want to see where we think price is going, and I want to discuss a topic, RSI analysis, and I want to look at trendline analysis. And I just want to begin showing you how we begin thinking about the market using trend lines, why trend lines work, why they don't work sometimes, and how to use trend lines and RSI together to see if we can analyze the market well. So you really want to stay for this one. It'll be helpful as we analyze the market. Well, before we get started, let me just give you our disclaimer that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just Jim. I'm just a friend of yours on YouTube, making videos, helping you understand how I look at the market. If it helps you to look at the market the same way, that's fantastic. If it does well for you, but I'm not here to give you advice and what to do with your money. But hopefully, you can learn trading ideas so that you'll know better how to use your money. But your decisions are your own. All right. With that being said, let's get into it. We're looking at the Bitcoin chart, and I have it on the 8-hour chart. I like the higher time frames. The daily chart is quite good as well, but the 8-hour chart gives me a little bit more detail than the daily chart does. So I tend to like to use the 8-hour chart quite a bit. Now, what you'll notice on the screen is that I've created some trend lines. I've actually put some lines in key places. To find out, just to help me look at divergence in particular. My main use for trend lines isn't so much to find landing points or price projections, though that sometimes is helpful, and I'll show you in Litecoin in particular what we're looking for in that in a little while. But what I usually use trend lines for is to help me spot divergence. When I see price beginning to make peaks in the RSI and on the chart. As soon as two peaks are created, I draw a line, and we can carry that line forward, and then we're going to watch for that and see if we have divergence along the way. Now, remember in previous videos, if you want to know what divergence is, go back and I'll put a link in the description. You can watch the video on RSI, using RSI to determine price. You can look at that video just a couple of days ago. That was a helpful video for you. But let's just recap a little bit of what we talked about here as we look at this. You'll notice that on the 8-hour chart, what I like to do is kind of back test. I want to go back in time, look left, and see what happened back in time. This is the end of our bear market, or at least the bottom of this down push. Right? And as price was coming down, you'll notice that the RSI was going up. So we had divergence. And one of the rules that I create for myself is that I want to see divergence widespread. That means I want to see two mountain peaks. I don't want to see just one little cluster. I consider this one mountain peak, though it's three different pushes. I consider this all one structure. I want to see price come back into the purple area on my chart, into the normalized zone, the cooled off area of the RSI, and then back into this area. When I see that happening on the 8-hour chart or the daily chart, I know that there's a reversal imminent, if not right away, because once we begin to see that divergence here, the RSI was cooling off. It was or actually getting stronger to the upside, while price was getting weaker to the downside. That tells me that the strength of this move was weaker than the strength of it was weakening. Let me say it that way. You can also notice a pattern, a shape. If you wanted to draw a trend line there, there's a descending wedge there, which always breaks to the upside. So you would have known at that time that there was a break coming. In fact, I've got some older videos back in the day where I probably talked about those things. Well, now. As time has gone on, price has gone up. Now you see price, it came up here, right, and then it came back. The RSI got a little stronger, came to the overbought region. We did have some divergence in there on this time frame. I didn't draw the line here, but here it is. You've got the RSI going down while price is going up. Now, I don't. This is a smaller divergence. It's not a larger, but it would have told you that there was a down push coming, and there certainly was. While then we had divergence again at the bottom of this. Remember, we want to see kind of widespread divergence. And so even though we had a weakness that came down here, price came back up and it came and peaked again. There really wasn't the kind of divergence that I look for. This is pretty straight across. When you got straight across, it's not strong divergence. I like to see a stronger divergence, and that will tell me there is a reversal coming. And so here, price was back here. It came back up into the cooled off region, and it came down again. This is where, again, you can kind of look on the chart and know that there's a reversal coming. Price came up. You see the divergence again. Now, yeah, you can see the divergence again, so you know there's reversal coming, and so on. And so you can almost, by using divergence, almost, not always, but almost, call most of the turns in the market. Now, there's another type of divergence we want to talk about. I've been showing you regular divergence. Another type of divergence we want to talk about is hidden divergence. I'm trying to think which chart I had that marked on. Let me see here. I think it's this chart. I just forgot where I saw it. It's not as simple to see as you might think. Well, this is right now. If you see right here, price is moving to the upside while the strength of the move is going to the downside. When price is making a higher low on the bottom side while the RSI on the bottom side is going down, that is actually called hidden bullish divergence. That as this strength comes down here in this overbought region, we can expect a push up. And so, even though we have technically a hidden divergence, right, hidden bullish divergence, I don't think a move to the upside is imminent, though I do believe it is coming. We're looking for the future. What I'm actually looking for, I want to see price probably correct a little bit here. So price is probably going to come back up in this area. Let me get my pen so you can kind of see what I'm thinking. Price is going to come up here, and then it's going to break down again. I'm guessing to the $4,800 mark, which if you watch the RSI in the same way, RSI will probably come up, make a little peak, and come back down here. And what it would do is probably continue this line. It'll probably bounce off of here. Okay, then at that point, that would be there'll be no divergence at that point. Now it doesn't mean it can't start going up from there, but I would like to see divergence at least on the 4-hour to the 1-hour chart, especially. What I would like to see then is as price begins to move or correct back up, I would like to see that divergence happen. Now, what could happen? Let me delete this and just talk about what might happen. Is that as this RSI comes up and cools off for this move, and it comes down here, but it doesn't come as low. Price comes lower, but the strength doesn't come as low. Then that would create the divergence we're looking for. To tell us we're moving. That would give us an uptrend while a downtrend is being created. Let me see if I can get my tool working. There we go. And that would create divergence. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. This is the scenario I'm looking for. I just think we need another downward push. It just seems very imminent. I don't think we're going to go up from here. I don't think the bulls are quite ready to move back in. So I think we're looking for another downward push. I'm still looking. My target area for this push is going to be somewhere in this region right here. That's the 47.72. I would say 4,800 is going to be a good target for us. We'll see. Let's draw a trend line here and see if there's anything that provides us with any kind of confluence with that. Not so much, but it's not horrible, but it's way out here. Now, if they take price sideways forever and then come down, that would provide some confluence. Now, the other possibility, and you got to remember that price could come on down here, and then go on up from there, which you can see my 4 wave. That's exactly what I have drawn, and so That's kind of what we're looking at. I think it's too early to say we're going back up. I think we've still got some work to do to the downside, and that's what I'm looking at. And I would expect along the way for there to be a cool off and then the price to come back down, and this should get oversold, and I should see some divergence. So we're going to be watching that carefully in the future. And so let's go into the 1 hour chart on Bitcoin here, and see what we can see as far as any kind of trend line analysis, and as well as divergence on the short term time frames. You'll notice that I like to draw those trend lines if I see them. Let's clean some of this up here. Oh, sorry about that. Let's try this again. Clean that up. Clean this up as well. There we go. You can see that we have an ascending wedge here. When you see an ascending wedge, that means price is gonna just kind of keep oscillating back and forth in this little area here until finally it'll just kind of break down, and that's what I'm looking for. Now I don't know exactly. You can kind of see that wedge being formed as well right here on the RSI. If we draw these lines as well, probably let's be true to the peaks here. There we go. Let me get rid of that line for now. You can see this is being formed. It looks like we've got some downward to come. It's going to oscillate in here, and we're probably going to see a push down. Now you'll notice that we have in the RSI, we've got price making a lower low from this peak here, from this, from actually I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Forgive me. Sorry about that. It's a higher low there. So right now we don't have any divergence. We've got price going up, RSI going up. We've got price going up. No divergence. I'm looking for divergence. So what I'd like to see then is another push to the downside while RSI stays up above, and so that the RSI kind of goes up, but it may not. It may take a little while to develop. So I think this chart has ways to go to develop before we push up to the upside. So my price targets right now are to the downside. That's my bias. Um, so if we go up, the target, we're still looking at 5,700 as the first target. So be mindful of that as well. Now, if we start moving to the upside, I will measure those waves, and if we get a one wave, then a two wave, we're going to be looking for entry, and I'll give you signals, and we'll talk about those along the way. So anyway, that's what we're looking at in Bitcoin. So I would spend some time in your own charts if you open TradingView and just analyze the RSI if you want to grow as a trader, grow as a charter, and looking at technical analysis. See what the RSI is doing comparative to the trend lines, and see if you're spotting the divergence or where divergence can begin to develop. Look back to where there were key turns in the market and see if there was divergence that would have helped you to know it was coming. Okay, all right. Now, I think this. Oh, this is where I saw. This is the time frame where I saw the hidden bullish divergence. Now, what is hidden bullish divergence? Well, let's go to the 4 hour, because I think that's where or the 2 hour. That might be where I saw it. Nope. Let's see if it's the 4 hour. It is. Nope. It is. Let's go back to the 2 hour. It's here. I just wanted to try to see what I did with this line. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, so what's hidden bullish divergence? Well, what you've got here is, again, this is just another example where price is going up, right? Price is going up on the bottom side, where during that same part, you've actually got price going down in the RSI. So that means the RSI is cooling off, getting more room for the upside. That's the way you think about it, okay? So this is actually technically hidden bullish divergence in this little area right here. Though if you measure from peak to peak, we don't have any standard divergence. But in this little area, you've got the RSI cooling off, giving you more room to the upside. And that's what hidden bullish divergence does. Hidden bullish says there's going to be a continuation of the bulls. Okay, hidden bearish means there's going to be a continuation of the bears. It's going to continue. And so right here, we technically we have an upward movement in price with a downward movement on the RSI. So technically, we have hidden bullish divergence here on the 4-hour or on the 2-hour chart. Now, here's my problem with that. That divergence can be erased, and that if that divergence will be erased with one down move lower than this peak right here. So if we get a down move that comes down to this line right here, that hidden bullish divergence goes away. And so you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful that the hidden bullish divergence isn't always the best signal. When that hidden bullish divergence comes with a standard bullish divergence on the lower time frames, that is when the signal is fantastic. So that's what we're going to be looking for. Let's go to the lower time frames. Let's go to a 1 hour and see if we see any divergence here. That's going up while this is going up. No divergence yet. Everything is moving on together. The RSI is moving together with price, so no divergence. Now, if we get, again, like I was saying, if we get a push down to this side, to the downside, making a lower low here, then that means, but here down in the RSI, we don't come lower. We actually stay on that trend line. We come down to here or so, and that would mean this line would kind of be kept in contact. Then that would provide the divergence we were looking for. We'd have downward movement in price, upward movement in RSI, and we can be expecting an upward trend. So I'm going to watch for that as a hypothesis. We'll see what price actually does. But right now, not seeing any entries yet for a trade. Price needs to come down here. If it continues going up, I'm not going to FOMO. I'm not going to freak out. I'm just going to wait for that pullback because that'll be a one wave coming up, and then there'll be a two wave. And on that two wave, that'll be our entry, and we're not going to worry about it. Okay. All right. Let's look at Litecoin quickly and see what we see there. Now, there's some interesting things going on here as well. Whereas you can see how I've drawn this trend line, and this is where I want to talk about trend line analysis, and I want to talk about price structure a little bit. All these yellow lines are lines that have carried over from some significant turn in the market in previous days. Okay, so if we go to the 8-hour chart here, you'll notice that there was a peak here, there's a peak here. We just carried these peaks over, and I could draw another significant line right here. That's a significant peak as well. And so these are all potential targets and landing points, and you can kind of see, how price comes down to these areas and bounces. It just depends on the exact place you draw them, but really, like this place, it hit this peak right here and it bounced. But I'm expecting price to come on down to this next peak, and even here's a really significant point right here, this 62.50 range to $60 range in this area. That is the area that I think we're going to see the biggest bounce. So looking at the trend line analysis a little bit, and looking at the wedge, you can see that this is a flag. It's a bull flag, which is fantastic. You see this wedge kind of being formed. This is a downward facing wedge. That means once that's finished, we should have a move to the upside. It appears to me that this thing, if this wedge continues to form, it's got to do some of this stuff before it's ready to go up. So that's kind of what I'm projecting price to kind of come down and do. I'm hoping it does that, but I'm not going to hope beyond hope. Remember, hope isn't what we're looking at in the market. When we're traders, we react to what actually happens. We just keep an eye on it all the time and think about different scenarios that could possibly be. You can see how the RSI, we got an uptrend, we're weakening, or we're going to the upside in the RSI while we're going to the downside in price. So we know there's some divergence there, obviously. But this is more of a wedge, right? So we actually have the RSI coming down as price is coming down. So we do have some divergence. So we're going to wait for this this is probably going to come to a head. This is probably going to come back down here and waffle in here until it finally breaks and then goes up. Something like that in the RSI is probably what I'm looking at. And so that means price is probably going to continue coming down a little bit as well. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at. That's what's going on. I still got price targets down here. I'm looking for 65 as a really potential a good buy zone. I'm really going to watch price as it comes to $65. We're looking at 62.43, and we're looking ultimately at the $60 range. So don't get too greedy. Anything down here is a really good buy. We're going to be coming up. In future videos, I'll talk about what are the potential landing points and what we think we're going to do as it comes up. This all could be a one wave, which means we're coming up for a two, and it's corrective. And if that's the case, then we're going to be going down major for three. So we're going to have to watch and see what we're looking at once price finishes what it's going to do. All right, I hope this video has been helpful to you. Please like this thing, subscribe to the channel so you can get more and more updates. I'm going to be updating you with more minute trading videos that'll be helpful in the future. So just stick around and enjoy the channel. I hope you're gaining knowledge as we learn together how to read a chart. We're using Elliott Wave, using trendline, using RSI. There's some other things I'll show you in the future, but we'll keep today's discussion there. All right, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. We'll talk to you tomorrow.